Okay, so now let's talk about something called transport maximum. Okay, so we're talking about glucose right now. That was our example. So basically there are a finite number of transporters. Okay, so I said in the last video, what do we do when we run out of transporters? Well, again, there's a finite number, so we're going to run out. Okay, so let's look at a couple of things here. Let's graph it. Okay, so we're going to graph rate on this side. So milligrams per milliliter, that's the rate. And on this side, we're going to look at the plasma glucose concentration. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to look at is filtration rate. And this is filtration rate, and we're looking specifically at glucose. So is there a limit to filtration? No. There is no limit. Whatever's in there when it goes through the glomerulus is going to be filtered out. Is going to be filtered out as long as it'll fit through the fenestrations. It's going to be figured out. So the more glucose in the plasma, so in the blood, the more you filter out. So this is filtration rate. Okay, so filtration rate doesn't change. There's no limit. So it goes up. That's a terrible. All right. So I get this goes up, up, up. And it just continues to go up. As long as it's in the blood, it's going to come out. Okay, there's no limit. It's just going to keep going. All right. Okay, so the next thing we need to look at is reabsorption. So reabsorption rate. Okay. So reabsorption rate, is there a limit? Yes, there is a limit. So there is a limit based on the transporter availability. So reabsorption rate. So, okay. So when we're talking about glucose here, keep that in mind, remember. So during filtration, we've got all this glucose, whatever you had, whatever was in the plasma was filtered out into Bowman's capsule. So it went into the proximal convoluted tubule and was filtered out, we got filtered out, and there's a point, boom, where we run out of transporters. This is the transport maximum. Once we get there, we stop reabsorbing glucose. Okay, so what happens to it? All right, well, we need to look at excretion rate. So excretion rate is where, once we get to the transport maximum, so at transport maximum, we start peeing out glucose. Because it remains or stays in the filtrate. All right, so at this point here, we start excreting glucose in the urine. Okay, there should be 0 amount of glucose in the urine. All right, so once we get to that limit, there's that much glucose there that it's exceeding the number of transporters that we have. That's where it stays in the filtrate. That's where it ends up in the urine that's passed. Okay, so that's basically what's occurring in the proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule, 70% of what was filtered into the filtrate is reabsorbed. Okay, and again, once we get to the point where there's no more transporters to bring in stuff like glucose, then we get to the transport maximum and it spills out into the urine. Okay. All right, so let's talk about what happens in the loops of Henle.